Hello, it's Sunday, April the 27th, 2025, coming to you as always from my beautiful, or our beautiful, beloved Vancouver. Today, a sad Vancouver, I think. At least I feel sad. The events of yesterday are just a tragedy for the Filipino community, for the people that were victimized, for their families, their friends, their loved ones. And I just want to acknowledge that and send out my heart to people today who are impacted by this. It's not my intent to link the tragedy of what happened yesterday to anything political here. I just want to acknowledge what happened. Out of respect for that, I was going to do sort of my final pre-election video today about why people shouldn't vote for Pierre Poilievre and his Conservatives and the threat that they pose to Canada, or the threats that they pose to Canada. And I've decided to change track a little bit because I'm sure for anyone who follows this account, I've been talking about that incessantly for the last year and a half. So what I want to talk about today is why we vote, or why I vote, and why the people that I know and love vote, and why I would suspect most Canadians vote. You vote because you want to have a say in your future, and the future for your children and for your grandchildren and the people you care about in your community. And we have that incredible privilege and, I believe, obligation to do that in this country. Any Canadian citizen 18 and over can vote. Elections Canada does everything it can to make voting accessible for people. They accommodate people. They want people to vote. That is a right we have in this country that we should never, ever take for granted. Because when you look around the world, most people don't have that right. When you look at our neighbors to the south who are going through such destruction of their democracy at this point, they don't have freedom to vote. Voter suppression, voter ID laws, gerrymandering, all of that limits and prohibits their right to vote in many cases. And we don't have that in Canada. We have a free vote, and we have a vote in an anonymous vote. Our vote is private. Nobody sees or knows who we vote for, and that's hugely powerful. So we get that right, so we can have a say in leadership and policies, and their policies, and who we support and what we want for our futures. I think, when I look at all of the advantages and the benefits to living in this country, and I was born here, is first and foremost is freedom. We have freedom of expression. We have freedom of association. I've always been very politically vocal. I've never felt afraid to speak my opinion, to give my opinion. We have freedom of movement. We can move anywhere in this country that we choose to. We have freedom of religion for people who are religious. We have freedom to choose day to day what we do from the morning we get up in terms of our autonomy in our life, our political autonomy. Canada gives us that, and I think most of it, certainly myself, most of the time I take that for granted. We have economic opportunity in this country, and again, as I've said in previous videos, it is not equally applied. None of this is applied equally to all Canadians or people who live in this country, and that is wrong. It shouldn't happen. I do think we're getting better at addressing that and resolving that. And as we go forward, we need to continue that progress, continue that momentum towards equality of opportunity and equality of being, and to redress the wrongs of our past. We have, I think, in Canada, for all of the wonderful different cultures who live here and who come here, I think we have a shared Canadian, on some level, identity, and that certainly manifested itself to me during the last few months with what the threat that Trump is presenting to us. Canadians have come together and support this country, and we're shopping Canadian. We're not going to the States. We're resolute in our determination to keep our sovereignty and or sovereignty, and it's a beautiful thing to see. Like it makes me proud. I've traveled. I've had the very good fortune to travel all around the world, and I've done so extensively, and I've been in countries where we don't have, or they don't have, freedoms. And actually, when I think about it now, I've been to a lot of those places by myself, and wow, some pretty scary places, and people live in those circumstances for generations. Without freedom, without economic opportunity, there's no equality between people. They're just abused at every turn by their political leaders, and so it makes me even more grateful to live here. So I want a Canada that progresses, to include people, to expand economic opportunities, to expand our civil rights, to expand our environmental rights and our environmental sustainability. And that's what I vote for. That's why I vote. I'm not a politician. I'm not a leader in the political world, but I'm a citizen of this country, and I'm an advocate for that, have been my whole life. As a woman, you know, I've been free to pursue my life the way that I want to. I never had to worry about being forced into a marriage, being forced to have a child I didn't want, a baby I didn't want. I could do with my life what I wanted. And those rights are under very serious threat with right-wing governments, because misogyny and control of women just permeates those movements, and it permeates every aspect of those movements. And I see these young women, especially on this app and elsewhere, supporting Pierre Poilievre, and he's never going to impact our rights to abortion or our access to abortion or any of our other rights, and they're just wrong. I'm not sure where they're coming from. I don't understand it. I have empathy for them, but for any young woman who's watching this, for women who have female children, we need to vote to continue our right to our autonomy, to our bodies, to our economic opportunities. And that will not happen under a Conservative government. They will limit and ultimately eliminate our rights, as they're doing in the United States. I just want to say as well that abortion restrictions are basically a gateway restrictions on, or gateway laws on women's rights. They start with abortion, limitations or restrictions or elimination, that then expands out into healthcare decisions on generalized healthcare that women aren't allowed to make for themselves, that the state actually interferes in those decision-making processes. It includes limiting our rights to contraception, our rights to no-fault divorce, our rights to travel within our country. I see that now in the United States there's a pending Senate approval, a significant restriction on the rights of millions of married women to vote simply because they changed their name when they got married, which is an accepted practice in these countries. I see that Trump is now looking at, or may has signed executive orders that are limiting women's economic rights. And that will happen in Canada if you elect a Poilievre government, or if we elect a Poilievre government. Our rights are under significant threat, and so are your daughters' rights. Please, please make the right decision for your daughters and for yourselves, and especially for the young women who grew up in a time when they had full abortion rights. They had full rights to education, to marry who they wanted, to get a divorce, no-fault divorce. All of those things will go slowly. They chip away at it if we make the wrong electoral decision tomorrow. So I'm voting in, or I voted, I've already voted for, of course, the Liberals, my local Liberal candidate, but I'm voting for a positive Canadian future. This is a great country we live in. I love it. And we're so privileged. We're so lucky to live here, but we need to work to keep it. And we can make a different decision than what they did in the United States and what they've done in other democracies in the world. Let's vote to keep what we have and to grow it, to expand it. Canada has enormous resources. It's got enormous people resources and financial resources. So let's vote accordingly. Let's go Liberals, and look forward to seeing the results tomorrow night. Have a good day.